Hi, class. Uh, Here I am. I'm going to introduce to you the window drawing assignment. I am using a new microphone situation. I'm trying out using these wireless headphones as a microphone. So please let me know if the sound is better or worse than it was before. Um, Let me tell you a bit about the purpose of this assignment. An important skill in beginning to draw is the ability to perceive edges, seeing angles correctly in relation to one another and in relation to the edges of the paper, and using contour lines to represent these edges as you practice with the upside down drawing. Practicing this by using 2D images is a very good place to begin. I encourage you to practice drawing from printed references or from pictures on your phone. This is a great practice, applying the skills that you started to learn with the upside down drawing. The next level is begin to understand how to translate the three-dimensional world into the two-dimensional plane of your drawing paper, understanding how the angles and nuances of edges, the contours of objects in the real world, can be flattened into an accurate two-dimensional representation of them. So the concept of the picture plane is useful here. The picture plane can be thought of as a usually imaginary window hovering in space between you and your subject. You could trace the contours of the world onto the surface of this imaginary window. And then the surface of your paper is like an equivalent for the window. The drawing paper itself is like the window on which you flatten the world. The illusionistic world on the other side of the drawing paper depends on this accurate flattening and recording of contours. So for today's assignment, you will actually trace the world using an actual window. So I am about to draw on the window of my home. I'm asking you to do this, but I only want you to do this if you're certain that you will be able to remove the drawing from the window. So the first thing you should do is a little test. Make a little mark on your window with the marker that you plan to use. I'm going to be using a Sharpie marker. And then make sure that you can remove that mark before you go any further. Like start with a tiny mark so your parents don't hate me. Some things that definitely remove Sharpie marker from windows are rubbing alcohol and hand sanitizer. I did a series of tests here on my own window, and I found that a number of other things also did. Drinking alcohol, I had a little old cognac that I rubbed on there, and that took it off. Windex also did remove the Sharpie from the window. Vinegar removed Sharpie from the window. Water actually removed Sharpie from window too. So just do an experiment. Make sure you'll be able to remove it. So once you're certain that you can remove Sharpie from the window, you'll follow the demonstration that I'm about to do. If you do not have a marker that marks on a window, if you do not have something to remove the marker from the window with, I have some alternatives for you. You could take a photo of the view out your window instead, then put a paper over that photo on your phone or on a computer screen, turn the brightness up real high, and then you could trace the contours with with pencil on the paper or pen or whatever you have available. So if you can't do it this way, that's fine as well. So try to choose an interesting view. I'm very fortunate. I recently moved and I have this gorgeous view out my window, so I'll be drawing this. You're going to put your paper over the window and try to line it up with that view that you want to draw. And then you'll trace around the edges of the paper. If you want to hold it very still, you could tape the paper down so that it doesn't move around. The next thing to do is to draw horizontal and vertical crosshairs within the format on the window. The lines should be straight and they should cross at the center. So one way to measure halfway would be to take that same piece of paper that you just traced and fold it in half. And then if you put it back up there and trace along your fold, that should be the halfway mark there. I can then take the piece of paper and fold it the other way. Line it up again to find the middle this way. And so now I'm set up, and it is time for me to begin tracing the view out the window. I am going to be sure to stay very still while I do this. It's incredibly important that I keep my head in the same spot the whole time that I'm tracing. I'm also going to close one eye. Closing one eye gives me monocular vision. My brain actually perceives space ordinarily because I have binocular vision. Because each eye is actually seeing the world from a slightly different angle, my brain is combining the information from the two eyes to get an understanding of three-dimensional space. So I can sort of override that understanding, which is what I'm seeking to do here, by closing one eye and having monocular vision. It's a way of flattening the world. And you can test that by closing one eye and closing the other eye and seeing how your view changes. As I begin to trace, I'm going to go very slowly. I'm going to be very thorough. I'm going to try to be accurate. I'm not going to rush. I'm going to try to record every slight change of direction within each contour line. You should not try to second guess any of the contours. You should try not to name the things that you see. You should not wonder why the contours are the way they are. Just like the upside down drawing, you should draw exactly what you see with as much detail as you can manage to draw it. So here I go.